Alibaba just previewed a 2.4 trillion parameter model and called it second only to Fable 5. That's a big claim. It's also on launch day just a claim. I'm Gear Green, and this is the Qwen brief, where the whole job is telling what's confirmed from what's merely asserted. On July 19th, 2026, Alibaba's Qwen team previewed Qwen 3.8 Max. The number they led with, 2.4 trillion parameters. The framing they led with, comparable to the leading frontier systems, second only to Claude Fable 5. Both of those are worth taking seriously. Neither of them, on launch day, was a verified fact. So let's separate the signal from the sales pitch. Here's what's actually confirmed. There's a preview model ID Qwen 3.8 Max preview live now on Alibaba's token plan, on Coder, and in Qwen chat, starting around $6 a month. Alibaba states 2.4 trillion total parameters and says it takes text, image, and video. That is the confirmed surface, and it's small. Everything past it, the ranking, the architecture, the real price, is either claimed or blank. A preview is an evaluation artifact, not a fixed product. Build on it knowing it can change under you. The single most useful thing you can do with a launch like this is sort it into 3 columns. Confirmed, the preview exists, and Alibaba states the parameter count. Claimed, the frontier ranking, with no benchmark names, no prompts, no methodology behind it. Unknown whether it's dense or a mixture of experts, how many parameters are active per token, and what a real per token price would be. For a model sold on scale, that last set of blanks is a lot to leave empty. The reason to take Alibaba seriously as an anyone release, it's the tempo. Qwen3 Max shipped in 2025 at over 1 trillion parameters. In January, Max Thinking scored 58.3 on humanity's last exam and beat GPT 5.2 Thinking by a wide margin. In May, 3.7 Max could run autonomously for 35 hours, and, notably, it published its price. And now 3.8 Max roughly doubles the original's parameter count. 4 flagship steps in about 10 months. That cadence is the real story. Then, one day after launch, the first real independent test arrived. Trilogy AI ran Qwen 3.8 Max against Kimi K3 through the open StackPerf harness. Not a toy prompt, but a blind reviewed architecture analysis of 2 unfamiliar code bases, 269 files, every claim needing an exact path and line citation. The result, Kimi K3, 83 out of 100, Qwen 3.8 Max, 80, 3 points apart, which is the opposite of what second only to Fable 5 would predict. It finished behind a model that ranking puts below it. But the score matters less than the shape. Qwen was sharper on system boundaries and had the stronger replay record, the fields you need to reproduce a result. Its tool use was clean, 44 tool calls, 0 failures. Kimi was more complete on the hard part, the editing lifecycle, revisions, regeneration, history. Both cached over 90% of their traffic, and, worth saying, both overreached, each making 7 claims the code didn't fully support. You can cite hundreds of correct lines and still draw one unsafe conclusion. And here's the finding that actually generalizes the one we care about most. The strongest answer wasn't either model's report, it was the combination. Qwen supplied the cleaner boundary, Kimi the better lifecycle, and the synthesis beat both contracts. Independent models converging on the core decision while exposing each other's blind spots. That is exactly why, across our network, we red team one model with another instead of trusting a single reviewer. Diversity isn't a nicety, it's an evaluation method. The other open question is, fittingly, open weights. Alibaba says the full Qwen 3.8 will be released with open weights, but with no date, no license, and no repository. And a hosted preview is the opposite of open weights. It runs on their servers at their price, and it can vanish. Compare Kimi K3, which committed to a date July 27th. A date turns a marketing line into a testable claim. To Alibaba's credit, its open source record is real. We run a Qwen embedding model in production ourselves, so the likely reading here is when, not if. The reception split the way it should. The market cheered. Alibaba's stock rose about 3.5% overnight because investors don't need a benchmark, they need a claim. The technical press hedged uniformly, calling the ranking and the parameter count vendor claims, not verified results. And the engineers did the healthiest thing of all. They didn't argue about it, they reached for a benchmark harness. That is the correct response to an unverifiable number. So where does that leave Qwen3.8-Max? A credible lab, a fast-moving line, a genuinely competitive first benchmark, and a headline claim that so far the evidence doesn't support. Watch for the evils and watch for the weights. When they land, we'll update the brief. Read it carefully. The full analysis is at Qwen3.8-Max.novitsog.us.com. This was the Qwen brief from Novel Cognition, independent field analysis, not affiliated with Alibaba. I'm Giron Green. Separate the signal from the sales pitch, and I'll see you on the next one.